So we're going to do a few sentence correction problems here. Pay attention to the level of analysis that I'm going to perform. I'm going to look at not only trying to find the right answer to the question, but also trying to really break the sentences down into their grammatical components. I'm trying to find out specifically what grammar law has been broken. I'm not just trying to quote-unquote figure out if it sounds right. And I'm also trying to figure out what's wrong with the answers that I'm not going to select. Now, of course, when you take the test, you don't actually do all this analysis. But when you're studying for the test, when you're practicing for the test, after you do the timed test, you always go back over every single question with this level of attention to detail. And that's how the philosophy of learning more than one way to attack each problem plays out in the sentence correction portion. Again, we're not only looking for the right answer, we're trying to identify specifically what grammar laws have been broken, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong with the wrong answers. So, let's go. Number 6. To complete the music program, a student must present one vocal performance, one instrumental performance, and composing one original work. This is an entirely straightforward example of a violation of what's known as parallelism. The third thing, composing one original work, does not follow the pattern of one vocal performance, one instrumental performance, and one original composition. Anytime you have a list, you've got to have everything in the list follow the same format. So, pretty easy number or answer choice B, and the other answers are wrong because they don't follow exactly that format. Number 7. Zookeepers have expanded one's definition of care to include concern for the animal's mental state as well as for its physical well-being. The subject of the sentence is zookeepers. Zookeepers is plural, and this pronoun, one's, it's what's known as an indefinite pronoun. Pronouns like somebody, one, his, hers. Oh no, I'm sorry, his and hers are possessive pronouns. One is singular and zookeepers is plural. That tells us that A and B are wrong because they have ones. I want to spend some time looking at answer choice C. Answer choice C does have there, which is perfectly okay in terms of plurality of the possessive pronoun. Let's read what comes after the comma in answer C as a sentence. They include concern for the animal's mental state as well as for its physical well-being. That is a complete sentence. The initial part of the sentence, zookeepers expand their definition of care, is also a complete sentence. Two complete sentences cannot be separated by only a comma. It's what's called a comma splice. So the mistake in part C is somewhat subtle because the wording is actually perfectly correct. The mistake is in the punctuation. Two independent clauses, two complete sentences, have to be separated by a conjunction with a comma, like a comma and, or they have to be separated by a colon or a semicolon. Answer choice D has a similar kind of mistake, except answer choice D now gives us an incomplete sentence. Zookeepers expanding the definition of care to include concern for the animal's mental state that's not a complete sentence. It would need to be something like zookeepers are expanding the definition of care to include. So expanding is wrong. And of course that leaves us with what must be the correct answer. Zookeepers have expanded their definition of care to include. One more. The time and the place for such a large event. So the time and the place, oops. It looks like I crossed that out, but I don't mean to cross that out. Anyway, the time and the place, I'll circle it. For such a large event are subject, oh, there we go. I figured out how to use the eraser. Okay, this is an adventure. The time and the place for such a large event is subject to approving. This subject, the time and the place, is plural. Is singular. So is a big fat wrong. The other mistake in this sentence is that they're using approving as the noun form of the verb approve, but approval is the result of something being approved. So we definitely know that A is wrong because it's just a repeat of the sentence. B has that same mistake of using approving instead of approval. C looks like a winner. D, subject to be approved, is no good. E falls under the category of awkward and indirect phrasing. Let's look at this. Let's see if we can actually find a mistake here. Subject to the approval of the mayor's office are the time and place for such a large event taking place. I don't think actually technically there is a grammar mistake, but the SAT will present grammatically correct sentences that are awkward garbage phrasing. Remember, they're asking you to select the best answer, and hopefully it's pretty obvious that C is the best answer. Remember, when you're going back over the questions, you always want to look at not just the right answer, but also the wrong answers and what makes them wrong, and try to figure out the grammar law that's being broken, and not just, try to read it and say, oh, does that sound right?